Cynics on Disney podcast contains adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
This is the Cynics on Disney podcast, presented by nightclub33.com.
Welcome into this week's episode of the Cynics on Disney podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, aka the Disney Cynic.
And I'm Amanda, aka the Anti-Cynic.
And today we are going to be discussing, well, a classic Disney attraction. Certainly not a ride of any kind. And it's got its ties to the big W himself. That would be Walter Elias Disney. I don't know why I went full name there.
Government name.
Yeah. Full name is weird. Wed. It's weird that his initials spell something out. It's weird. But it's got a tropical flair to it, and that, bodes well here in the state of Florida. So today we are going to be discussing the Enchanted Tiki Room, you guys. I don't know what these kids are all about. Amanda.
Yes.
You're the history professor of this here podcast. Could you please enlighten us as to a brief history of this attraction?
Sure can. All right. So this is originally was at Disneyland. It was not a Disneyland opening attraction, though. Opening day attraction. It didn't open.
All the birds got invented after it opened, right?
It did, right. So it opened at Disneyland on June 23rd, 1963.
What?
Look at you, shared your birthday with a Disneyland attraction.
Well, now I don't know if I can hate this attraction or not.
This is pretty monumental when it comes to Disney history because this is the very first Disney attraction to feature audio animatronics. It's also Disneyland's first fully air-conditioned attraction.
Well, that's important.
So, there you go. For Disney World, it was an opening day attraction here. So it opened October 1st, 1971. It was identical to Disneyland's version, except for the pre-show. The pre-show is a little bit different. I'll talk about that in a moment. It is in the same location now that it was when it opened. So in Adventureland, over part of what was known as the Sunshine Pavilion, because it had the Tiki Room, and then it also had the Sunshine Tree Terrace. If you go to Disney World now, where Sunshine Tree Terrace is now Aloha Isle, where you can get Dole Whips. And where Aloha Isle is now Sunshine Tree Terrace. They swapped places.
Okay. I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Sure.
They swapped places, so those have changed, but whatever. However, the name was not originally the Enchanted Tiki Room at Disney World.
Okay.
It was originally called Tropical Serenade. And I said the pre-show was a little bit different. That pre-show had two toucans in it, and they told their story of them finding this pavilion while they were trying to escape from the animals on the Jungle Cruise. And so that's how that was that pre-show. You
know how this whole meeting this whole thing got like envisioned in the staff meeting, right? That Imagineering.
Enlighten me.
Well, do you think that one bird would be able to do the pre-show by itself? Nah, but two can.
Oh my god. I hate you so much. Anyway.
Why would you hate me for that?
Oh my god. Toucan. God. Anyway. The name did change in 1993. It became the Enchanted Tiki Birds. Still not the Enchanted Tiki Room, just the Enchanted Tiki Birds. However, the 90s saw attendance plummet for this attraction, so they decided to just completely overhaul it. They closed it on September 1st, 1997.
It's an interesting word that you chose there. I'm sorry. I can't get past it.
Plummet?
Attendance plummeted?
Yeah. That was
Plummeted.
the word used in the source that I used. So I figured, okay. Apparently nobody was going to this thing in the 90s. Okay.
But that implies that it was like super high to begin with, you know?
I mean,
Because
I'm sure it was.
for instance, you can't plummet off a hill. You can plummet off a cliff. You can
Right.
plummet off a mountain,
Right.
but you can't plummet off a hill. I feel
I
like
don't know
this is a hill.
I don't know what the attendance was like, but I'm going to assume that, it dropped off significantly. How's that?
That sounds better
Okay.
to me. I
Attendance
feel
dropped off
better about it.
significantly in the 90s, which, led Disney to be like, we should probably make some changes here. And so they did. They closed the attraction September 1st, 1997, and reopened it April 5th, 1998 as the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management with your new host, Iago from Aladdin and Zazu from The Lion King.
I this is the version of the Tiki Room that I genuinely remember.
This is the one I remember too.
And I guess because we didn't this wasn't one that I got put on a lot, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
As a child. So I don't remember all of them. But for some reason, yeah, I do remember Gilbert Gottfried screaming at me. I mean, that, and seeing a real life version of the bird from Aladdin what was quite the
Well,
fascination for young Bobby. So
an audio animatronic version.
right, but still, he was in real life. That's not a bad Gilbert Gottfried.
It's not. You did pretty good there.
If only I could curse.
Ah.
But it's a Disney attraction. I can't. I lost it. I'm sorry, guys.
This was apparently, this is the version that I really remember, but apparently this was like a pretty controversial version. Like, it was not very popular.
So this is the first instance, I would say, perhaps the first or second instance of the fans revolting against changes made at the parks. It's this and the People Mover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which one came first. I think People Mover might have, but this was another one that people were like, no.
You don't mess with the classic.
And we got a little bit emboldened there, and then shit changed back to with the People Mover. It changed back with this one, and the big one that I think everybody can rally around is it got Figment into something better than it was. Not good, but something better.
Well, the fans did revolt. However, Disney wasn't changing it. Like, they had no plans to change it. And then January 12th of 2011, there was a fire in the attic of this attraction.
Oh, God! There's a fire!
It damaged the Iago audio animatronic.
That's why my voice cracked earlier.
So they were gonna have to do repairs anyway. So they were like, you know what? Fine. We'll go back. So it reopened August 15th, 2011 as the Enchanted Tiki Room. It is a shorter version of the original show. It's not exactly the original show. But yeah, that's the story of the Tiki Room, or the Enchanted Tiki Room, excuse me.
Well, thank you so much for giving us that history lesson, Amanda. Look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't think I've been on this attraction since 2004.
Mm-hmm. So you hadn't been on it since they brought it back.
High school.
Since they brought it back to the original.
Yeah, because let's be honest. Younger Bobby was far and away more focused on trying to ride Space Mountain as many times as he possibly could, or one of a number of other attractions. This never was going to be popular for me,
right?
As one to go to, and so when I entered into my very young Disney adulthood, I guess, no, this never came up. The people that I would travel down there with were not necessarily Disney people. So
Mhm.
they had no love for the the old school Disney stuff.
Yeah.
Instead, like we hit the highlights, so to speak,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Um, I was kind of a little bit bummed out though,
Okay.
and I say that only because it has a Muppet Vision 3D vibe to it right now.
Yeah, kind of. I can see that.
Like you walk up through the pre-show, and I think a lot of people appreciate that
Mhm.
pre-show and would want to stick around. But we just walked right into the theater. There was no line. There was no
Mhm.
need for a pre-show of any
Mhm.
kind. Everybody who was in there was very clearly just overheated and tired.
Yeah, it was a really, really hot day when we went.
It was, and like we're talking one of the 100-degree days
Mhm.
that we've had down here of late. So
Mhm.
I that kind of just like from a visual perspective, it reminded me of what I genuinely do think of the Polynesian Hotel. Run down, kitschy, like smells a little weird because you can
Mhm.
never get rid of that mold smell that was in there, even no
Yeah.
matter how hard you try. There's just like a lot that is going on that just looks dingy and dated, and god damn, this place needs some tender love and care,
Yeah.
or at the very least a can of WD-40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, having said that, we were traveling with my cousin Ashley, who you guys have recently got to meet,
Mhm.
and she, this was her bringing the baby
Mhm.
into an attraction. So this was kind of a fun little sideshow that we could experience with every single person. And I
Yeah.
kind of dug that aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about the music.
So, I love the, like, I guess you would call it the theme song? The song that
Oh, the
everybody
tiki tiki tiki
knows?
tiki tiki
Yeah,
room.
I love that song. Um,
Did you ever have like Disney Parks cassettes,
no.
like cassette tapes
No.
back in the day, or
No.
CDs or anything like that?
No. My Disney park music knowledge came from the, like, Disney Channel artist that, like, remade the songs, and there's, like, a couple of CDs of that, like, Radio Disney Jams or something like that.
Oh,
I have
okay.
Hilary Duff's version of the Tiki 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 Room in my head.
That's awful. I can't
No,
imagine
it's
anything
not,
worse.
okay? It's awesome.
It disagree. Hard disagree. And part of the reason why is because, well, when we were driving around in the minivan back in the wee old days of 1995, yeah, we had ourselves a cassette tape player back in that vehicle. And oh,
Mhm.
what a miracle of technology that was. Of course, this also meant that we would listen to either what at the time anyway, what I would consider to be just boring talk radio,
Of course.
or they would put on Disney Parks music
Yeah,
in the car. My
yeah,
parents would. So um, my version will always and forever be the Sherman Brothers version of
yeah,
that song.
yeah.
And I object to anyone else who ever tries to sing this shit, because you got to throw a German accent in there. You got to throw a French accent in there, an Irish accent. Weirdly, that I don't define the Irish as a tropical people. In fact, I would say with their freckles and daywalker esque skin up there in Ireland, they're about as far from being tropical as one could be, besides like Mongolians or something
Yeah,
like that. You know,
yeah.
so what the hell is that guy doing? What is Michael the bird doing in in the middle with all these tropical
I
birds?
I don't know. I really don't. I was trying to find, I know I saw a list earlier that had, like, not only the names, but, like, the countries. Um, but now, of course, I
Well, there,
can't.
like I said, Pierre, there was a French guy.
Mhm.
Hans, he was a German guy.
German.
Uh, yeah, it's the reason why him and Sergeant Schultz from oh god. Why can't I think of the name of the show?
All right. So we have. I found them.
Hogan's Heroes. There it is. Those are the only reasons I know what Yavol means. So
So you had Jose from Mexico.
who, by the way, I think gets the sickest burn out of any one of these birds, or possibly on any attraction.
Okay.
At one point, one of them says, "Oh, my voice is majestic. I think I should go solo." Then Jose comes back with, "Yeah, see, so low we cannot hear you." And oh, what a burn! Bird
Well,
got his ass.
I don't know if this was true at the Disney World version, but at the Disneyland version, like when it first came out, when it first opened, the colors of the bird themselves implied what countries they were from. So like Jose was red, white, and green. That's the colors of the Mexican
Shocking.
flag. Michael was white and green. He is Irish.
No shit.
Pierre was blue, white, and red, French. And apparently what caused them to change this was Fritz's colors.
Well, yeah,
Because he was red, black, and white.
that doesn't really look great with the whole, German accent.
Right. So then they changed the colors. But yeah. Those are the I'm very confused by Michael and Fritz particularly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's why do we have a German and an Irish bird in the tropical
No idea.
tropical hideaway?
This is beyond me. The only thing that I can think of is that they're on a resort guest stay or of some kind.
Apparently. I mean, I'm also kind of like Pierre. Jose is really the only one that makes sense.
That's correct. But the Sherman brothers could only do one Hispanic accent, but they could also do an Irish one and a French one and a German guy.
Maybe okay. Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah, just as someone who likes to think that he can do voices, see my Iago from earlier, which I didn't think was bad.
It wasn't bad.
God, that really does a number on the throat. I don't know how he talked like that for all of his life. That's something that's gonna blow my fucking mind for the rest of the night. Thanks for that. I don't. Anyway, as someone who likes to think that I can do voices and all that kind of stuff, I will say that the voiceover talent portion, like the spoken word portion, is not bad.
No, it's not.
But I think all of our point. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever to have a bunch of European birds in there.
In the tropical hideaway. I know.
Right. Because I genuinely don't think of Europeans when I think of tropics. So,
no.
That's just me.
No.
Although, then again, I may also think of all sorts of weird shit. So let's probably move on from that. God, North Sentinel Island. Just look that shit up. It is wild. It is wild.
It is wild.
I mean, they'll fucking kill you. Anyway, never mind. I don't know why I get sidetracked like this. I really don't. So they performed what? Total of 3 songs?
Yeah, it was a very short show. A lot shorter than I remembered and thought it was going to be.
Also, nobody remembers the other 2. So they could really just be the first one. And you can move on.
Right. Because I don't know what else was sung. I do know, that
there was weird sound effects and
there was like a thunderstorm that occurred because I was sitting next to Ashley and she was holding Ryan. So I got to like watch his reactions to all of this, which is honestly what I was more focused on anyway. Was just kind of watching his reactions to everything. But yeah, that thunderstorm portion, he kind of freaked out just a little bit at the very beginning of it. I mean, he got used to it, but yeah. There was a moment there where he was like, "What is happening?"
obviously, I think that there's some version of a tie between this and Trader Sam's, as I believe that there are ties to every
Oh
Adventureland
yeah,
attraction, with the exception of the camels, because those
right.
don't fucking make any sense,
They don't. Mm-mm.
like at all,
Nope.
at all. Mm-mm.
Nope.
Um, back to Trader Sam's, but certainly some of the effects on the walls are very
Hmm.
reminiscent of
Yep.
Trader Sam's.
The
So
yeah, if you've been to Trader Sam's, the thunderstorm portion of the Tiki Room is also at Trader Sam's.
yeah, there's a lot of Disney nostalgia
Hmm.
to like here.
Hmm.
If you are one of those, nerdy ass Disney people like Amanda is,
Hmm.
that would, this would be an attraction that should be up there with like the Carousel of Progress, I would say,
Yeah. Yeah.
for all of those types of Disney fans.
Hmm.
Since I'm not one of those fans, this should be interesting. Hey, Amanda,
Sure. Hmm.
on a scale of 1 to 5 tikis, how many rooms are you giving this attraction?
I'm gonna give this 3.
A 3.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Part of it, I miss the version with Iago and Zazu, honestly. Because it was like there was like this humor in there, like, and of course it came out like I was really big into, especially Aladdin, um, Lion King as well, but more so Aladdin. Um, but so I really loved having those two characters. It was funnier to me. Then again, I was also a kid, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I am looking at it through, the lens of, I did when I was a kid and watched this, but
You're also a corny person.
I am a
Like
very corny person.
it's the reason why my jokes land with you more so than some of the others out there. Um, so any of the humor that was in the show is right up your alley.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the humor, yeah. I do not want the Disney like purists coming after me. I like this show just fine. Okay? I like the Tiki Room just fine. That's why I gave it a 3. I don't hate it. I prefer the version with Iago and Zazu, but I do not hate this one. It is a very nice little, especially on a hot day, to get in some air conditioning, first of all. It's definitely a plus.
I love the idea of Disney purists going after you. Before they come after me, they go after you.
I'm just I know that the version with Zazu and Iago was controversial.
Do you know how pissed off I will be if they go after you first? All the Disney purists. I will be fucking furious. Oh, I would be so mad.
But yeah,
Don't, you
I
know,
like it.
come
I
for me.
would watch it again, but
Okay, fair enough. Hey, purists, come after me. I'm giving it a 2. This is going to be slightly higher than Carousel of Progress because
well, you
I
didn't fall
find
asleep on it.
that's correct. So, and part of the reason why is because even though Carousel of Progress, creaks and groans, it really groans when it
It
starts to
does.
turn.
It does.
Um, there is that's kind of like a low, kind of like soothing tone
Hmm.
as it's doing that. Whereas when you go into the Tiki Room, all you hear is what I can only liken as the sound of mouse traps going off, just click, 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 from all
Yeah,
the
you're
beats
right.
hitting
Yeah.
hitting each other, and it drives me batshit crazy. It absolutely does. So there's no way that I could fall asleep conceivably on this attraction.
Yeah.
You are correct that it is good for air conditioning, but
It is. It is good
um,
for conditioning.
I have an idea, and this could be just a very strange, weird idea that probably should have been thought through a little bit more for before they started reimagining some of these attractions and stuff.
Hmm.
I kind of have this idea where certain attractions should kind of become a museum piece of some kind, right?
Yeah.
And I would put this attraction in that category.
I
Same
can
with
see that.
Carousel of Progress. And believe it or not, same with Country Bears. Now, hear me out here.
Okay.
I say we get rid of all of them. But,
Oh, the Disney
but,
purists are coming after you, right?
but, what if instead we put Carousel of Progress over at the Contemporary and the Tiki Room at the Polynesian
Polynesian.
and
Mhm.
Country Bear Jamboree as part of Wilderness Lodge?
Yeah.
Make them free shows that all the Disney purists can go see without even getting a park ticket.
Yeah.
Gives them time to lube up all the robots and stuff like that, so that maybe the mouse trap noise won't be so clickety clacky
Yeah.
and everything. But if you were to do something like that, that would mean that the attraction is preserved. You could always take the somebody back, but then when you're using your park ticket, you're not doing so for something that comparable to some of the other attractions that are going to be in there is just not nearly worth your time and effort for the money that you're now paying for a park ticket. Does that make sense?
I can see that. Yeah, it makes sense. I think logistically it would be an issue. Um, just because I mean, I can see now if you put you're already not able to go like park at the resorts unless you have like a reservation or staying there. I can see if you put these attractions at resorts, it's going to become an even bigger issue.
Or
Um,
maybe you say like you have to be wearing your magic band and you have to be staying on Disney property to go to those attractions. There's got to be a way to filter it, I guess, to
yeah.
prevent what you're saying. But that's a better way of preserving a lot of that Disney
No.
history and nostalgia that I think a lot of Disney hardcore fans uh like have and
Yeah.
want to keep some of those attractions
And
alive.
I mean, especially because this was the first attraction to use the audio animatronics. I mean, this is the attraction that they were invented for.
Sure.
Um, like this is an important piece of Disney history and definitely needs to be preserved. Like no mistaking that.
It's
Um,
either that, or I've also thought a good idea would be, and this I guess gets into armchair imagineering, so to speak. But I've also thought a good idea would be to take that former Disney Quest space and turn
ooh,
that into
yeah.
a certain classics type like
Yeah.
thing. $50, something like that, where you go in and you see a bunch of old shows and stuff that you got the animatronics laying around for,
Yeah.
and you got set pieces laying around inside the park somewhere, and then you
Honestly,
just move them over.
that space would be good for this type of kind of like this type of museum you're talking about too, like Disney attractions from the past.
I think that there is some worthwhileness to preserving some of these attractions.
Yeah.
They're just not ones that I want to see when I'm there a lot, or there
Mhm.
or just there in general, to be honest with you, because I've never once thought to myself, oh, I've got to go see the Tiki Room, or oh, I've
Right.
got to go see Carousel of Progress,
Right. Right.
and I'm not trying to like just poo-poo it and dismiss it or what have you. I understand exactly what you're saying with the whole first animatronic thing. Like
Mhm.
these are things that should be considered something to be preserved,
Mhm.
but also the company and the park should have the flexibility to change things up
Right.
in those spaces, because real estate is ultimately limited
I also
and
think
you
like
have empty stuff elsewhere, I guess.
I think we as fans, and I mean not you and me, but like collectively, we get a lot more nostalgic than I think Walt would be.
Probably.
Honestly, I think Walt would have like a long time ago if it like we get rid of this attraction and this attraction and this attraction.
I see. I don't know. I don't know. I think that he was always moving on to something new. I think he would have. This is kind of my gripe with Disney right now, is that they're not expanding; they are
Right.
replacing.
Right.
And I think Walt would have expanded.
But I
To
think
your point.
right, but I also think he would have, because again, he was always he was a very forward thinking person. Um he would look at, okay, well, this is outdated, so let's change it up. Let's, he wouldn't have hesitated to make any changes or anything like that, I don't think. I
Of
don't think he
course,
would
this
have
is
had the emotional connection that we necessarily have.
and of course, we have no idea what the fuck Walt was thinking or
Right.
what
This
he
is,
would think. We are not, Long Island mediums of any
no.
kind.
No.
Although Gilbert Gottfried impression aside, I can't speak to the dead in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know if Walt would in fact be turning over in his grave. I'm not sure how that's possible. I'm pretty sure he was also cremated. So, like this whole rotisserie Walt thing.
Yeah, I
The
know like he is buried in California, but I don't know if it's like his ashes are buried
I
or
thought it was his ashes are in a family mausoleum in
I think that
California.
may be it. That may be it.
Let's go look this shit up on Google, Amanda.
Google.
Amanda,
Google.
Google shit. I'm so glad that we have this segment.
All right,
We
let's
should
see
start seeking
here.
sponsors for Amanda Google shit.
Um, that didn't tell me. It just told me where he's buried. Didn't tell me.
Hey, timeshare companies or, the wacky gift shops of 192. Feel free to chip in like $50 or something like that. And you can be the sponsor
Yeah,
of this here segment.
he was
So,
cremated. He was cremated, and his ashes
boom.
are interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California.
Yep, totally makes sense. And yet also I still kind of think that he's going to be like the jar from Futurama that walks around with spider legs and stuff like that. So, um anyway, let's get to a little bit of Disney news here,
Okay,
shall we?
we shall.
Speaking of Disney classic attractions, and possibly leaving well enough alone, previews have started for the Country Bear Jamboree, quote unquote triumphant return.
And it's no longer the Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh well, forgive me. What is the new title of this year's show, Amanda?
In redundancy, it is the Country Bear Musical Jamboree.
What? Okay. Okay. Look,
Yeah.
this is one of those. This is going to have to be one of the last fucking episodes of this podcast that we do for me to go see this thing. Um, uh, I saw a brief snippet on Insta on the gram, if you will.
Sure.
I don't know why I said it like that. That just sounds like I'm talking about cocaine because I'm an American and nobody uses the metric system except for drug people. So, did you ever notice that? It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, um, so I had no desire to see the old show, but
Right.
you give me a bear playing a banjo, singing the Aladdin song, a whole new world, to a floating bear that's swinging on a rope of some kind that who's also like Taylor Swifting it up over there. I'm out. I'm out. I'm fucking out. You injected more intellectual property into the goddamn Country Bear Jamboree. Somebody needs to take these robots out back and shoot them like they did the bear that got into Tom Sawyer's Island. That's what they need to do.
That bear was relocated to Ocala National Forest.
Sure. Okay. We ain't heard from the bear since.
Well, I mean, I would hope not. That'd be disturbing.
I don't know. I'm just saying. We've not heard
Well,
from this,
I'm a little like I haven't seen any of like the videos or anything, so I need to look at it. But just like kind of based off of what you said, sounds like I'm gonna be disappointed, and I'm gonna be so disappointed because the person that they tapped to kind of head all of like the new music and everything was Mac McAnally, um, who he's really big in especially in Nashville, but he was a longtime member of Jimmy Buffett's band.
And he sounds like an Irish cop on like some sort of Law and Order Boston spinoff. Mac McAnally?
Mac McAnally. They tapped
Okay.
him, and again, like I said, he's really big. But they have, and then like 3 other people that I've never heard of before in my life, including one who let me see which one. Emily Ann Roberts. She is an East Tennessee native. She just had her debut album come out last year. She has been on tour with Blake Shelton, and she has been featured as part of CMT's Next Women of Country initiative. I have never heard of this woman in my life.
I got bored with your sentence, like, I don't know, like a third of the way through it. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that this is the problem, is that I'm not tied to the nostalgia of the original Country Bears
Right.
now. I'm not super into the intellectual property stuff. And if I wanted to see the songs being performed, I'd go over to PhilharMagic, because that's where half of them are going to be anyway. And then they're performed by the characters that I know, not random bears singing in Southern.
So it looks like the list of songs for this attraction. We've got there are 2 original songs on this attraction. The first song and the last song.
Okay. Well.
But the one every
color
song
me wrong then.
Every other song is from a movie. So you have Try Everything from Zootopia, Kiss the Girl from Little Mermaid, Whole New World from Aladdin. I'm sorry, there's going to be a country version of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, that's not going to make any damn sense. But let's. So, do we have an official reopening date for everybody on this one yet?
Yeah, hold on. It was in this article. Let me see if I can find it again.
While you're looking that up, in other Disney classic attraction news,
the 17th.
Peter Pan is shut down. So there's that. 17th of August?
17th of this month.
Oh, July.
It's about to open. Yeah. Just for reference, we are recording on the 11th. So it'll be open a few days after this episode comes out.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. If you're going to be in town, you too can join in the misery of this.
The next Wednesday.
Also of note, Peter Pan has been shut down, and it seems as though, per some construction permits, that they are going to be in quote unquote installing new set pieces. This has led to speculation, of course, that they are removing some of the Native American stuff that was original to the movie but has since been deemed offensive. So probably going to get a little bit of outrage sometime in October when it reopens.
It is set to reopen August 21st.
Oh, okay. So next month we get the outrage. Cool. So look forward to that news story coming real soon.
Yeah.
Yay.
It'll be great.
I can't wait. So last time that we stayed at a Disney park.
You mean Disney Resort?
Resort, yeah. It was over at the boardwalk.
Yeah. God.
Oh no, it was not the last time, but we did stay. The last time we stayed at the same room for more than a day,
right,
was over at the boardwalk, and something came up, during that stay that I was not prepared for, and that would be the quote unquote room check that Disney employees are forced to do in the middle of the day, whereby they walk into your room and just like go by the bathroom and then turn around and go away.
Right.
It's one of the most awkward things I've ever experienced.
It is.
To have that room check be performed while I am in the room. Especially because if I recall correctly, we had just we
just like laid down or something.
Yeah. Like I was napping or something. And like, really, bro, go away. Why did you have to show up?
Yeah.
Well, apparently this topic is now resurfacing, and I fig- kind of get where people are going with this. Okay,
For
so
the record,
obviously,
this is not a new thing.
no,
Disney has been doing this for a while.
it's been happening since I think 2018 or 19, something like that.
When the shooting in Vegas happened.
Correct. And I understand why a company like Disney, given the property and everything like that, would want to be a little bit more mindful of such prohibited items being on property.
Hmm.
Uh, that being said, like how many? This is like security theater to me. It's like the TSA stuff.
Yeah.
How many terrorists have we really caught doing that? And how many shooters potentially has Disney caught doing these random room
Right.
checks?
Right.
Like, I genuinely want to know. Because if it is just one, I don't think that's I don't think that that's good enough of a reason to sacrifice that kind of privacy as a
Right.
Disney resort guest,
Right.
especially considering that resorts off property or even on property but not Disney run don't do the same
They're
room
not
check.
doing that.
And on top of that, they are substantially less money
Yeah.
than what you're paying for a Disney resort.
Yeah.
Where I'm sorry, at some point during that vacation, I'm gonna get tired and want to go back to the room,
Well,
and I don't want to be disturbed.
somebody in the article brought up the fact that yes, these occur, mostly in like the afternoon when most people are at the park. So there's, you're not most people aren't like don't know about it or aren't being disturbed. But what about the parents who are taking their kids back for a nap? What about people like us who we were tired and hot and just wanted to go and relax
Yep.
in, our air conditioned room and take a nap? You know, things like that. Like they're, like the woman who kind of brought this back up, she was in the middle of a meeting um on her laptop when this happened. So you've got things like that, people in the shower, all kinds of awkward situations.
Look, I'm not suggesting it. In fact, here's what I would say: don't make any sort of announcement that you're ending the room checks or
Yeah.
anything like that. Just to always have that seed of the
Yeah.
potentially somebody could find something, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I would prefer it if people were concerned
Yeah.
that they might get caught. That being said, perhaps it's time to make it random rather than a guarantee
Every
for
day,
for
every
each
hotel
room.
room.
Especially because if you can't do that for housekeeping, like really like how thorough are these room checks honestly?
Right.
Unless they are actually like digging through drawers, which I would be objecting to
Yeah.
big time if they were. What
What?
good are we
Yeah.
really looking
Because
doing?
here's my thing. If someone does have something that they're not supposed to have, it's
Sure.
not going to be out in the open.
Nope, it's going to be hidden. That's just how it is. And so this visual inspection thing again, it's become security theater, and I'm anti-security theater. So
Yeah.
I say we end it,
Yep.
but do so quietly.
Right.
Just to
Right.
always have that in the back of the head. So, some more interesting news to come out of the Disney, I guess, zeitgeist, because it's not
Mhm.
technically a Disney owned or run property, comes to us from Shades of Green, where a worker at that resort, um, well, she stole $180,000,
Yep.
basically, is what it comes down to. Um, and she did so by initiating refunds, but maybe not telling the guest that they were getting said refund and then refunding it back to her and her husband's credit card.
Credit card. Now, let me explain something about Shades of Green and why this particular thing is a lot more serious than just this woman. I mean, it's serious anyway because she stole almost $200,000.
Sure.
But Shades of Green is the resort. It's over by, I think, the Magnolia golf course.
Palm and
Palm and
Magnolia.
Magnolia. It's over there. So like kind of over in like
Across
the
from the
Grand
Polynesian.
Floridian, yeah, Polynesian Grand Floridian area. And it is specifically for military personnel and their families. Um, I don't like Shades of Green, but I have my own reasons for that. Thanks to them not accepting my father's military ID because it was the wrong ID. I don't get it, but whatever. It was the one the VA gave him, but it was still considered wrong. But whatever. Um, anyway, so it is not a Disney owned resort. It is a Department of Defense owned resort. So when
Yeah.
she did this wasn't just, oh, like a crime against a company. She stole from the government.
Yeah. Oh no, this was definitely a federal crime. This wasn't.
So this is super serious.
So, would-be criminals out there. Clearly, this works, but it has a limit to how much it can work before you get caught. And on top of that, look, guys, make sure that you check your credit card statements.
I
Bottom
think
line,
I think how she got caught was she started taking more and more from like one get like she wasn't spreading it out. Like she ended up, I think from one guest she refunded like over $2,000. That's gonna bring up a red
just a wee bit of one, especially because no matter how much bitching I ever do, most I've ever gotten is a $50 gift card.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like two grand is definitely going to raise a
Yep.
couple of eyebrows,
Mhm.
shall we say?
Yep.
Um, so I guess she's got a plea deal in place. It sounds like, and she's agreed
Well,
to make restitution. I don't know who that restitution goes to, by the way, because I don't. I think it really was a situation where, like, when I was serving at a restaurant, like,
mhm.
if I wanted to, I could go in there and delete a Diet Coke
Yeah.
after somebody had paid or something like
Yeah.
that, and
And
like
pocket the difference.
yeah, like I feel like that's what she was doing. She wasn't like straight up stealing from somebody. She was just creating a
Nope.
refund and sending
And
it back. So
stealing from the
who does
government.
that? Well, so that's the thing. Is it coming from the hotel? Is it coming from Disney? Like what's
It's
the
not going to
story?
come from Disney. It's going to come from the hotel. Which again is owned by the Department of Defense.
Right, but if
So,
you buy your tickets through that, or if you buy something, I don't know. Anyway, I thought there was some sort of Disney component. Perhaps I'm incorrect. This would be a good topic for Becky
yeah,
to
she's
address.
definitely more versed in Shades of Green, but
Yeah,
Shades of Green, it like really the only affiliation is that it's on Disney property and that they get, like they have their transportation to the parks and stuff. But I think other than that, again, Becky would be the better expert. But
we will turn to her at some point to get an update on this here story. Finally, tonight, we are going to discuss a recent trend that I find both helpful and hilarious. And that is this trend of plus sized, I'm told is the proper term, folks sharing their experiences at the Disney parks. Now, I say I find it helpful because I'm not a minus sized person. Well, I don't know what the fuck else to call somebody who's like too skinny or some shit.
right.
You know,
Uh,
not that there's many of those people these days, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Someone who looks malnourished in some way, shape, or form. That would be a minus sized person, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Got to be.
I can see that.
Um, so some of that stuff could be sort of helpful for someone like me.
Hmm.
Whether or not, 'cause apparently there's one guy in particular. It, he goes by fat tested on Instagram, um, or theme park fat tested. The guy's name's Jason Vaughn, and I've got the same waist size as him, but he's 5'7". So there's a real big
Proportions are
difference with
different.
legs
Yeah.
and stuff like
The
that.
proportions are
So
different.
I don't know that everything is going to work for me and stuff like that, but I find it helpful. Also, um, as someone who is plus size, fat jokes are funny. I find them to be hilarious. And you know what? I am one of the fat people who has a medical reason as to why I am the size that I am. Thank you, no thyroid. But, but also, you don't know that. And if you're going to call me fat, come at me. It's hilarious. I don't mind it. I don't know why. But of course, there's another group, the hopper plus sized, plus size
Plus
park
size park
hoppers.
hoppers.
Yes. They're the ones who have gotten grief from the likes of comedian Tom Segura and his wife. That's where I think some of the more recent Disney adult attack has been coming from on the internet. It was something like that spawned it. So you know what? I'm fine. I'm here for the hate. Let it happen. Like I feel like some of us need to be kept in check a little bit while we're at it. So yeah, bring on some of this stuff. Amanda, what say you?
I mean, I don't like the I like what they're doing. And I like that, particularly that group, the plus size park hoppers. They're including, I think they've got a pretty wide range. I know, like, I think they said the smallest person in their group is my size, a 2X. Um, and then I don't know, like, I forget what size they go up to, but I mean,
This
it
article
is
says up to 5x. So
okay. It is helpful because a lot of, like, Tron, mm-mm. I was able to ride it, but barely, and that was more so, I think, my legs than anything. I haven't even attempted Flight of Passage. Well, I mean, wait times aside, but I mean, Flight of Passage has the test seat. I haven't even tried that because that just looks tiny.
yeah, I'm not.
Um, you know,
I just know not to even
yeah, I'm
bother.
not even attempting.
So
But I don't understand. I don't understand the hate because,
I do.
again, yeah, but for me, and you know what, it's fine if you like the fat jokes, that's fine. For me, as someone who has spent almost my whole life struggling with my self-esteem and my body image, um those, like, I those ladies that are doing this, and anybody else who is putting themselves out there and doing this kind of thing, are some of the bravest people, like, because I couldn't do it. I could not.
Psychologically speaking, I don't disagree with you. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that people on the internet are wildly mean. And boy, the comment sections are some of the funniest places, though, to find puns and jokes and all that kind of stuff. The reason why I say bring it on to a degree, and also the reason why I kind of want a little bit more of this is to keep us in check because any type of fandom, by the way, this goes for uh, if you're super into politics, if you're super into sports, if you're whatever you're super into, like you can always go too far with it.
Yeah, but
It's
I
the
mean,
dressing up, and it's the dressing up for the movie, like the Star Wars fans and stuff like
mhm,
that, and I think one of the more salient ones for Triumph the Insult Comic Dog was when he went out to the Star Wars Episode One opening and made fun of all the people in line.
mhm.
And first of all, we all have to learn to laugh at ourselves a little bit more. That's my contention. Because if we can laugh at ourselves a little bit more and take ourselves a little less seriously, we won't necessarily be offended nearly as much
Mhm.
by some of the things that are said, and we might be able to appreciate the oftentimes hilarious intention that it was meant for. I get why you're saying you don't want to get hurt feelings, and by the way, always come after me, never come after her, please. Um, I also, and anytime that you put yourself out there in public, you are also offering yourself up
Yeah.
to whatever is out there in the public zeitgeist. And so you have to be aware of that. And these people knew that this stuff was coming.
Yeah.
So good on them for being able to tough through some of the comments and everything. And like I said, I find some of the stuff to be sort of helpful for someone of my stature. At the end of the day, though, guys, like, don't take it too seriously. Whatever it is, whatever your fandom is, don't take it too seriously. That's a good message, I think, to end this here episode on. Hey, Amanda, before we go, we are on social media, are we not?
We are on social media.
Where might we be found on social media?
We can be found on Facebook and that site formerly known as Twitter at Cynical Disney, and everywhere else. So Instagram, Threads, Pinterest, TikTok, at Cynics on Disney.
And of course, this whole shebang, I guess, is brought to you by notclub33.com. Make sure that you check out or go check out notclub33.com for all the latest and greatest updates, not including but not limited to this year's show and the Notcast, which is mostly released on Fridays at 4 p.m. Magic Kingdom time. That is East Coast time for all of you California folk. But also other content that we are just trying to put out there a little bit more at notclub33.com, like Pat Neestat's 3-minute dining reviews that he has been putting out a little bit more of this summer. And of course, Pat and mine's new brainchild, the upcoming Apocalypse Now, where he and I talk Disney pop culture. And of course, it was always going to devolve into this, but we try to also, make sure we have a little bit of an eye on the parks and how these new cultural zeitgeist items, products, IPs will all fit potentially into the Disney parks at some point in the future, which it's kind of a little bit of Chinese water torture for me. I'm not going to lie. Because God, I don't want to have every freaking movie put into a theme park ride, but there are times that it might fit, and we also try to deal with that too. So, plus we talk about some of the R-rated stuff out there. Alien, yeah, I can't wait. Deadpool, it's gonna be fun. So, make sure before this episode is out, though, that you like this video here on YouTube, that you drop us a comment, and then whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on, make sure that you go give us a rating and a review over there as well. And make sure that you are subscribed both to the YouTube channel and to our podcast feed, whatever platform you may be listening to us on. We would genuinely appreciate it. And by the way, all of your likes and shares and all that kind of stuff, all of that stuff, it genuinely helps. Same with the comments, helps get us out there in that algorithm a little bit more, exposing us to more listeners. And trust me, since we're on video now, you do not want me exposing myself in any other way. So until next time, you guys, we here at the Cynics on Disney podcast wish you, of course, a magical fucking day.